The first thing on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay.
I second.
We got a mail, we got a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Who was the second? I'm sorry. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now, you have the minutes emailed to you prior to the meeting. Hopefully you had a moment to look over those. So when you're ready, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I approve, motion for
Okay, we have a,
Second.
okay, that was a choose either one. Okay, any discussion, changes, corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So, Ms. Christie, it is now your turn.
So concerts are going well. I know several of you have been out at those. There are some reports of ants at the park from last week, as was also the case at the pavilion last year. I always wore closed-toed shoes for that reason, but the grounds maintenance company has treated the area early this week. It may be 2 weeks before the full effect takes place. Continuing at Bridgeview Park, the splash pad hours were adjusted per the PRAP's request, and the facility is open earlier in the morning than last year. Just a reminder that it is closed all day on Sunday. It's programmed not to come on because of concerts.
What time does it come on now?
Comes on at 8 in the morning.
Good, thank you.
Had to have some AC work on the pier modular restroom, so you guys may have heard some reports or seen some messaging about that not working. Work was done this past weekend. And a power issue at the campground required attention, so been putting out some fires with facilities this week. Not literally, thank goodness, but.
Yeah, thank goodness.
The restroom at 114 OBE is coming along, and it's contracted to be complete by the end of June. And also, I'm sure everyone has seen the pavilion is no longer on Jordan. That demolition took place this week. Finally, the beach ranger logs and discussions with rangers indicated quite a bit of dog activity on the beach the first few patrols when the ordinance took effect for the summer, but that has diminished, and we're back to holes being more of the issue than dogs.
Yep.
Moving further into programs discussion, we will not have a July meeting because our meeting date falls on July 4th. And also, we will not have a full board. Susanna will go off as the chair because she's served all the terms she can serve. And the BOC doesn't do appointments until their meeting in July, which means we would be a person short. So we will pick up our regularly scheduled meeting in August.
Who else goes off?
Do what?
Does
I'm
anyone
sorry.
else go off?
Not this year.
Okay.
Next year is a different story. I think there's like 3 of you that your terms are up for either renewal or you would have served all your terms. That said, July is National Parks and Recreation Month. And I'll be doing another community picnic with the date to be determined. I'm just not there yet. But we will get that information out to the board so you can share it with all your neighbors, and we'll also get a blast out. And I had a request a couple months back for a chair yoga class for those that may need a more gentle version than the regular class to be held indoors. And one of our instructors is going to, or has said she will do that class if there's enough interest. So an interest list announcement is going to be going out regarding that program to begin in July. And we will be offering 4 day camps this summer with that announcement going out as well.
Do you have help for the day camps? I don't think you have an intern, right?
I do not have an intern. I've not been successful in finding one yet. Right now, it will be Heather and I unless something changes, so.
Do you have the intern posted anywhere?
Yes, we've had it posted since February.
Is it on the town site? And what's the last day that you would accept an intern?
It will not be fruitful for the person after the end of June.
So this month?
Because we had it starting in May.
Okay.
And some of the things that the intern does, I've had to front load myself. and just work it in already. And so, the problem is finding a college student who doesn't have to find housing. That's also, has a recreation background or enough of a background in children that they can take over doing day camp and those kinds of things.
What is the age? Does it have to be a college student, or could it be
I
Maybe
will
that's some time.
entertain a senior in high school that shows depth and responsibility, but it would probably have to be no less than a senior in high school.
What about Miss Suzanne? Are you opting for the
I
job?
don't need an intern. I've done all the internships I went.
So that's what I had for my report under programs and facilities. If y'all have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them.
I don't have a question, but can I make 2 comments about the pavilion? Is that
Yes.
appropriate?
Sure.
One of the things that we were requesting, or at least some of the yoga folks suggested, is could the pavilion be swept off like once a week? It's very sandy down there when they do yoga.
The shelter.
The shelter, I mean.
Yes, I've been asking Sean to go out before classes the last 2 weeks, but
Okay.
I'll ask him again.
Okay.
They're short on maintenance right now, aren't they?
No, well, Sean is the rec tech, so I'll
Okay.
ask him to go out again.
And then a couple of the folks that have small children are concerned, and we also are getting water in the shelter, but doesn't bother me.
Feels refreshing.
Is it, sometimes that concrete gets slippery. And so I don't know whether you need to post, at least for the plastic splash pad, slippery when wet. I don't know if there's even an appropriate place to do that, but I think we saw one kid hit the concrete pretty hard when we were there the other day, but, you know, it may not be an appropriate place to put one.
Is the concrete
It's the concrete.
under the picnic area?
Well, and the kids also out where they're on the splash pad is also slick. I mean, they're just running around. Kids don't walk. They just,
Especially running through the water.
they run through the water. I mean, they're
Yeah,
playing,
yeah.
so. I don't know if you've had anybody really hurt out there or not, Christie, or don't know of anybody.
I have not, that's a brushed concrete, and we've had it brushed a couple of times, but we'll post a sign
mean,
underneath the picnic
yeah.
shelter.
Just,
It's good to know that you have seen something so
Yeah.
that we, can go ahead and be proactive and post
Yeah.
something. Tie-dye?
oh, yeah.
Tie-dye starts Tuesday. And I may have to retract this statement, but what I'm thinking based on how I think the setup's going to go over at the park versus the pavilion is, I won't turn anybody down that wants to volunteer on Tuesday, but it may not take as many of you at one time each week as it did at the pavilion, so it'll be a trial and error, and if then that's the case, you guys might want to do a hey, I know I'm out of town, and hey, it might be better if you want to do this week instead of trying to feel like you have to be every week, if that makes sense.
What's your layout gonna be? I'm just curious, like where we're gonna dump the water afterwards and things like that.
Intercoastal.
We'll do just like we did with concerts. We'll make it work.
As far as that's concerned, I won't be here pretty much till the 23rd of June. So if anybody can work earlier, and
Yep.
me
And I
and
won't-
the girls will be back after that.
Is it 1 to 2:30 and you need us there by 12:30, 12:15?
12:45 is plenty early.
Well, no, because you've already got it set up if we come up that way.
I know, but I've got a Sean this year too.
I got a Sean.
Okay, but it is 1 to
I got a
2:30
shot.
as we communicate that to
It is.
renters or whoever.
And they have to be in line by 2.
Okay.
Okay.
Is
Yeah, I
it-
won't be here on the 11th either, but after that, I'm available, so.
Mac and I'll be here on the 11th.
Is there any way to pre-purchase, like if someone's from out of town, they want to pre-purchase, make sure they have their stuff, or is that just too complicated?
if they want to purchase shirts because they can't attend a tie-dye, we sell shirts not at a discounted rate because we really don't, I mean, do not. It's a cheap price as it is.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But
Right.
if it will be confusing if they come with a shirt to tie-dye already, because then we'll be trying to figure out what's exactly happened. So, if they aren't gonna be able to stand in line to tie-dye and they just are here on a week, we're not having it at the end of the season or whatever, or can't come on that Tuesday, we get rained out, they can still purchase shirts from us.
So now, for those that have walked in the past with their own shirts, you still charge the fee, correct?
They pay $3 if they go buy their own plain T-shirts and they don't want Holden Beach on it.
I didn't know. Okay. Well, as we did when the Afghanistan families were here, it was a large group, and of course, tie-dye was over, but I would think if you had a large group, you could work something out with you, right, Christy? Let's say you had a church group that was coming in, and you wanted to buy them ahead of time for tie-dye. Can we work with you on exceptions or not?
Yes, you can work with me on pulling shirts, but they would still be at the regular
Yeah,
price. Yeah.
just to expedite things is what
Yeah.
I'm thinking, yeah.
Where would they buy a shirt if they don't buy it at tie-dye?
Normally people, so what we did during the COVID year and what we've done since then for a few people that have like fallen on the outside of the window is if they email me their shirt sizes, I can pull them from our storage and then they pick them up front and pay at the front desk.
Okay.
But the girls up front are not gonna know how to stop and go handle that and like pull them for them on demand, so they really should contact ahead of time.
So you just, they basically place an order and then you have it available at the front desk?
Mhm.
And they just pay? Okay.
I don't know, if this is not appropriate timing, then just stop me. But we all got an email that you sent us, it came from Commissioner Thomas, about the Ocean Isle phases 1, 2, and 3. And I think most of us that read through it felt like we either have those facilities or we have proposed those. Is there any action we need to take unless we individually want to have a discussion with the commissioner? There was no action, according to what you sent, we just needed to receive it.
No, and you never receive an email. If you receive an email from me and it is just from one commissioner, that would never indicate an action because the entire board would have to vote to have you guys take up a tasker.
Right.
Right.
Okay. All right, we don't have anything from public comment. Anything else anyone would like to discuss?
Yeah, I'm gonna be the public for a minute.
You're gonna be the public, okay.
Just let me capture this 1 second, what you asked last.
Oh, and I have one more question that was asked of me, and I think I know the answer. If I can, you want me to go before you?
Sure, that'd be great.
One of the, couple of the folks at yoga had asked, is there any way they can pay by the month, even if they're willing to say, I'm willing to pay for 3 classes, 4 times, 4 weeks, and they don't care whether they get refunded if they don't come or not.
I'm gonna go with a no, and I'll
Okay.
explain why. When she turns in her sheets daily, there is a checks and balances system to make sure, since it's a contractor, that the percentage that goes to her is correct and the percentage
Okay.
that comes to the town's correct.
Okay.
And then if they fail to, on another sheet in the future, indicate that they paid on whatever day, and the auditor comes and pulls that
Okay.
to check,
Yeah.
then there's too much of a paperwork trail to go back through to show where the payments line
Okay.
up.
Good, I'll let them know. I knew there had to be some good answer to that question.
Yeah, there's a couple of checks and balances there when there's private contractors.
I have a discussion that two things I'd like to talk about. One thing is, I don't know if y'all saw the reports, but basically we had a family rescued yesterday from drowning.
Yes.
The surfing crew was out there luckily, and they were able to get them. I received a phone call earlier this morning from, I think, somebody that Christy may know Miss Cox. And she is a big rip current advocate, if there's such a thing. And she prints up magnets and posters and flyers and all that kind of stuff and hands them out for free. And so we had a pretty lengthy discussion, and she said basically she piggybacks off of what Oak Island does, and she talked about what I think Christy had informed her about tax base or liability and all that kind of stuff. And so I know probably as a town, we're not in a position to do anything, but is there anything else we can do on an individual level to get a message out about riptides, other than just copying and posting what Oak Island's putting out?
I don't know that offhand I know who you're talking about or have had a conversation with them.
I thought it might have been a person that's kind of badgered you, because she kind of seems like that kind of person. Very nice lady, very, very, very nice lady.
We've
Yeah, I
had.
know. Miss Cox, I had a pleasant conversation. I'm not talking bad, you know.
We have had agencies like Sea Grant to do rip current literature in the past that we have available on the bookshelves at Town Hall. And then they have gone direct with realtors, different organizations have gone direct with realtors to put magnets in. I'm not sure that that's something that the town has, I know the town hasn't taken that on, but if you wanted to, suggest that she put that out, or if somehow separately as an individual, or if you had organizations that wanted to get involved, it's just,
So I think one thing that you said, which would apply here, is if we get literature that addresses rip currents and what to do and how to address them and all that kind of stuff, and it's not like one-off kind of stuff like Miss Mary did it on her back porch or whatever, but legitimate material, we could put that into the office and let people know that it's here? Or is that?
that would probably have to be a higher than me question.
Okay.
Because especially if we're copying I would hope that if a citizen is using printed material from another organization, that they have, the ability to do that and have asked permission.
Yes, yeah.
But I
Answer-
would hate for us to tell somebody that they could do something and copy it and place it here, and then that community not know that that's happening. So I think,
Yeah, in this instance, the approval's been granted.
yeah, I would just, that's a bigger than me question.
Okay.
Bigger than Parks and Rec.
Okay. Just send it to Heather and let her distribute where it needs to go?
Yep.
Okay.
Could we put them in real estate, renters packets?
Yeah.
That's a way to get it out, because these people from Ohio
Does-
don't know what a rip current is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, it may be a conversation for a later time, but does anybody have a list of who that is? I know there's like, what, 3 or 4 or 5?
Yeah,
You have that list?
I know where all the real estate.
Well, a lot of them are Airbnb and.
A lot of them are doing that.
HRBO now.
We're-
But we could get the majority of them.
Right,
A lot.
yeah. Get who we can. We're gonna start attacking on the other end as far as social media stuff goes, but yeah, no, if you could send that information, and I'll reach out to them, and we'll see about how getting that stuff in.
Okay.
I think Hobbs still does buckets. I don't know if anybody else does. I think,
Well, they have packets that they have to pick up.
yeah, I
And you
know,
can put them in the packet.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think this might be correct. No, I don't work for them, but I think Vacasa is all electronic, I think. They're in Charlotte now, but,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's true.
So, a lot of it's went electronic.
But they can still put it out
Yeah,
electronically.
no, absolutely, yeah. But like I said, I think last year, when the girls were doing their kind of thing, they went over to Hobbs and they still had buckets. So I know they still do they put their packets in the buckets and all that stuff, so.
One other question, Christie, is Brunswick County gonna provide a brochure on the concerts throughout the county?
They came in this week.
Okay, because I
So-
checked last week and Monday and they weren't here.
If you want one before you leave, I can get you one from the front desk.
I can go do that.
What is it?
Well, the
brochure.
boxes aren't open yet, so I'll have to do it, but
It's
I'll
all
be
right.
glad to get you one before you leave.
You're gonna give them out at the concert next week?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll get one then. Okay. they're very helpful to post and to keep up with, particularly if you like to do some of the other beaches. So, any other questions or concerns?
I wondered, and I haven't had a chance to go through this budget here, but is there any plans on the playground equipment as far as maintenance? I mean, is there money there for that?
I put in $5,000 for, new swing seats and chains. And the money for continued replacement of pickleball nets. No major equipment, based on the goals and objectives prioritization list that was put out before the budget.
I did have a full-time resident express a concern a month or so ago about a lot of the things were rusty over here, and she's got 4 children, and she homeschools, so I think they're in the park a lot. But I know you've got something to share about the POA has some money, and they said they wanted to wait and see.
Oh, no, that was brought up in one of the HBPOA meetings about, the HBPOA donating some money to the town for some playground equipment. But, you know, the last meeting we had was more just an informational meeting, so, you know, that may come up. I know it's probably gonna come off of the floor at the next meeting, Labor Day, I guess. So,
I am, based on my assessment of the equipment, I believe that we have another year's worth before we have to really start, replacing each piece, and we need to take down big pieces at the time. So the one that's in the worst shape is, in my opinion, the climber, that's the ladder climber.
Mhm.
And so that will be my first recommendation for next year's budget. Not this upcoming fiscal year, but the following fiscal year.
So if someone asks us about it, basically we just say anything that breaks would most likely be repaired, but any kind of substantial improvements would be the 26 year?
Yep.
Okay. Was there any significant items in the master plan, and/or when do we start working on the next master plan?
Let me get this last comment here
Okay.
down, and
Yeah.
then I'll address that. Okay.
Okay.
No, you're good. I didn't know if we were staying on this subject or not.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
Doesn't matter, nobody looks at the master plan. I mean, we had 796 with the plan and all those, and it's kind
everything in the master plan.
of. Well, 796 had some suggestions, and
Okay. From the master plan, it was 2021, it's recommended every 5 years, which would be 2026, which would mean that in 2025's budget, next year's budget, we would need to ask for the money to do the plan,
So,
so that they could get started right as the year turned, instead of waiting into 26 for July to get there, ask for the money, and then have, because it was about an 18-month process.
we're probably, that's going to be something we start off for heavy in August, is that right?
We will need to start talking about it, probably, what you'll need to do starting in August is evaluate where we are in the current plan, is a good starting point on what we've achieved from the back and what is listed to still be achieved. And then take it down in small bites at your monthly meetings
Mm-hmm.
of what you want to do to plan for putting it in the budget and, addressing another 5-year plan.
So we should be kind of the the current master plan, we should be pretty up to date on that when we start the August meeting. We should be prepared to do that, have that discussion.
You should be prepared to have like a kickoff discussion. With you having a new member, it might be kind of hard for them to come in and really be able
Sure.
to participate. But you know, reference the plan again, get them a copy, kind of talk about what we're gonna do, and then move into those discussions for the winter.
Yeah, because you'll be, so if we use August as a prep, you're only going to have September, October, November, December, 6 months to kind of do the whole thing. You're saying it takes an 18-month process?
Well, no, what I'm saying is, the main thing you want to make sure that you're doing is looking to see if there's any major things that even though it was in so when you look at the back of the plan, they did a year-by-year cost outlay. And if there's anything you think needs to be moved up or done in a different order or have been addressed in a different way and taken off the table, you can go ahead and get rid of those and then look at what you're going to need. Because I'm sure that budget meetings will start like they did this year, like next year. And so you'll need to know what those initial asks are so that you're prepared. Say we start budget meetings in February to say, okay, we know we're going to want in next year's budget to have a Parks and Rec master plan. That's going to cost us $35,000 plus. We're going to go in hard on the playground equipment for a replacement of this, and that's going to move up in this. And then these are the things that we're looking to do for this year's budget. And that's what you're gonna be doing. You're not really making the plan.
Oh,
Because
okay,
your
okay.
consultant's gonna walk you through that
Okay,
process.
Gotcha, okay.
And the major, if I remember correctly, the major changes is 796 may be sold by that point in time, but the pier was not purchased when we did the last master plan.
It was not, but it was
In
in the
discussion.
plan on like page 24 or 26, that if it came up for
Yeah.
sale, should be considered recreation property.
And that actually has occurred, right? It is recreation park. Is it
Yes.
deemed a park?
It is not, I mean, it'll still be called the pier, but it's deemed recreation land as far as,
Like somebody
Sorry.
somebody went to the North Carolina Parks and Recreation and said, hey, a fishing park. We don't show up there, do we?
no,
Okay. Will we?
no,
Can we?
I think the pier would be
Drop down.
sufficient.
yeah.
I don't think you'd want it listed as a park.
I think early on, there was a discussion that when we had 796, that we were hoping that we could use the downstairs of that area for a mini gathering area.
Mhm.
And then I think the discussion, I don't remember how it's written in the plan, but then if we bought the pier, perhaps that could be a larger convention meeting space that could be rented out and used by the town for various functions, but a lot of that has changed. 796 was in there. We need to just scratch the stuff that we know. I won't be on the board, but I still think we're wasting our time to address some things.
Well, I think you can move on. I think in all plans, some things are accomplished and some things aren't.
Mhm.
And there's various reasons for that, and so I think you just mark
Yeah.
them off as not viable any longer for whatever reason, and we didn't have Q-Lot either. I mean, there's a lot of other moving parts that have occurred on the island since the master plan, and, so yeah, I think we'll just have to take a look at that and,
Well, I think even the original purchase of that property was bought as a sound barrier, and then once they actually got it running, they figured they didn't need
right,
it,
right,
so.
yeah. So that wasn't,
Yeah.
that wasn't even purchased to be used for anything other than a sound barrier, so you're right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a lot of moving parts with some of that. But we do need to look at that plan, though, because we may have accomplished several things. But the exercise, the park course is no longer, is it still down the street?
It is. There are probably 6 stations that had to be removed, and there is included $10,000 in the budget to work on it.
Yeah, I
Okay, so
did- I
that's
did
still
hear that.
viable.
Yeah, I did hear
Okay, so
that.
yeah, there's some things that, one time we thought were going to go kind of off by the way are still viable. So yeah, we need to kind of confirm
Yeah.
some of that stuff as we move into the next year.
Mm-hmm.
Any other
And,
discussion?
and just back to the budget, and I know we're kind of like we're skewing a bit from programs and facilities. We're kind of making it real broad, but just back to the budget, there is an improvement, in there for Halsted Park for handrails at a pretty significant chunk of money under
Yeah, I
the
saw that.
Halsted, line. So you are going back and accomplishing some things, because that will complete everything about it that's handicap compliance related that was in the master plan that was not a part of this Key Bridge agreement. It's separate and apart from that. So there's check marks that you're making along the way in
Yeah.
the master plan.
Did you have a comment, Christie?
Just for public comment, and I just was going to say that Susanna has served this board for 2 terms, and she served this last term as chair, and as part of that, we appreciate everything that she contributed to the board, and she fielded some significant emails and questions during this Block Q process, and there's a little set of refreshments over here for the board to have,
Thank you, Christie.
to celebrate her accomplishments.
Thank you.
Here, here.
And
Yeah.
I'll just end by saying, before I adjourn the meeting, that it has been a pleasure to serve on a board of dedicated board members, because we are a working board, and we don't mind getting out there and breaking a sweat. We're doing what we need to do and put the hours in that we needed to for the tasker we received the first of the year, just some of the plans that were looked at over the last number of years. So it's been a pleasure, and depending on how things roll for the next year, I may put my name back in the hat. It just depends. But anyhow, thank you, Christie, for your leadership for Parks and Rec. It couldn't be done without you, and thank you for all the board members who have been so faithful in serving.
I would like to say to that Miss Susanna, I was very apprehensive when she called me and scolded me after after I missed a few meetings.
I remember that.
But but I did duly note her suggestions, her strong suggestions, and I think I've had a perfect attendance since that scolding. I think I've been late a few times, but I emailed ahead, and so I corrected that, knowing that there was severe punishment had I not done that. No, and so Miss Suzanne, I wasn't quite sure how to take her. I didn't know if she was one of the people on the island that you don't want to know, but you should know. That kind of runs behind circles and talks behind your back and all that kind of stuff. And I would have to say I'm pleasantly surprised that I have found her not to be that kind of person. She invited us up to their Christmas play, and my kids truly enjoyed it. And I enjoyed the whole thing. I feel like whenever she says something, she actually means it. And if she doesn't mean it, she's probably not going to say it. Now, I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
One more time.
And I was going to say, my shoulder will be the better for her not being here. But I'm afraid I do have one more thing that she's probably going to hit me on the shoulder. But I would like to make a public comment if I could. If anybody else want to say anything about Miss Susanna before I say this, because it may change the direction of our meeting. Okay. First thing I'd like to say is, Christy, thank you for the work that you do, not only with this board, but your entire job at the city and the town and everything that you do. Thank you for everyone who sits on this board. Thank you for the beginning of the year. We received a tasker, and which we absolutely got scolded for during a public meeting. And I, for one, was not pleased with it, but out of my respect for you guys, I did not say anything publicly, even though I really, really wanted to. And by way of the peer, have a platform where I could say something and a lot of people would hear it. And so out of respect for you guys, I didn't say anything publicly. However, we are in a public forum, and I wanted to go on record that I did not appreciate the council members acting as if this board did nothing with the tasker, and I believe it was phrased in some way, maybe not in actuality, but maybe in the spirit of, they just gave us back what we gave them. My concern with that statement is this: while sitting in the room, they negated to remember all of the items that we all went through and did an up or down vote on each and every single item of the entire plan. And the fact that they didn't like that the original plan submitted was encompassed everything that Holden Beach needed at the time, and just the fact that they didn't like it, they showed displeasure, and I think they showed their ignorance by doing that. And so I just wanted to go on record saying that I didn't appreciate that the people on this board got slapped in the face and acted as if you guys didn't do anything. Because from my point of view, from the time we sat in this room, I mean, we didn't dig 14-foot ditches. I mean, it's not like we did a bunch of manual labor and, you know, all of that. But we did sit in this room. We did discuss each and every tasker that was put before us. We did give it a true up and down vote. We did everything. I mean, in my opinion, we vetted every request they had. And just because we came back with basically what was the original, other than something that had came up with that being the pavilion, adding that to it, I just want you to know that everybody that I speak with understands what you guys did and what we went through. And nobody other than two people that live on this island, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, everybody else understands the work that was put into that. So I just want to go on record to say thank you and to make sure that you guys understand that everybody understands the amount of work that was put into it. And just because there's two individuals that don't happen to be here today, and I really wish they were because it wouldn't have changed my words one bit, but hopefully they'll hear this and understand that even though they are duly elected commissioners, that does not give them the right to be stupid at any point in time that they want to be. So with that being said, my last slap on the shoulder, I'm out. Thank you so much, and I look forward to working with you guys in August and moving forward, unless I am
Shot.
shot or
Excommunicated.
or asked to do something. But either way, if that happens, y'all definitely will know that. But thank you, and I'm not going to apologize for not saying anything because I think y'all would have preferred it that way because that's the type of people you are. But I did want to make note of it and just say thank you. I'm done.
Any other questions?
Well, I'm done here.
Well said. Well said.
Well said. Well, with no other questions of the members of the board, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
A second?
Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.